In this update, we're tracking our next storm system that is just now coming out of the Rockies, but this is the storm that will cause a lot of disruption, especially for those areas into the south. So I appreciate all my subscribers out there. This channel is up to 228,000 subscribers. I do a lot of updates, in fact, on a daily basis throughout the year. So if you are new, hit the subscribe button and follow all my daily content. So let's really delve into this, because this Arctic blast is everything that has been advertised for actually weeks on this channel. And it's showing its true colors this morning with those negative numbers diving all the way down into Oklahoma, folks. There's a lot of areas, in fact, almost 20 states are below zero this morning, as that true Arctic air is continuing to funnel in from Canada. And that is actually going to be swinging all the way down into the coast, along with a disturbance that will be overrunning this setup. And this is the one that's going to cause a lot of disruption for those areas in the south, because we've already have numerous winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings in place. So this is the system that's diving in from the Rockies. They've got widespread wind chill advisories, dangerously cold wind chills, and that pushes all the way down into the deep south. So those areas in purple are highlighted under that winter weather advisories. Once you get into eastern Oklahoma, but especially into Arkansas and into Tennessee, yes, those are winter storm warnings where you're expecting some heavier snowfall for you guys. And I think that actually is going to swing up into the northeast and give you guys some snow as we head into that Tuesday time frame. But here's where we are right now. So right now we're starting to see the beginning stages of that system diving in from the Rockies. That is what's going to cause the lift going to be as necessary to fall in those temperatures that are definitely, actually, they don't even get out of the teens for a lot of areas further to the south. That is very cold temperatures from what you're definitely used to. And in fact, yesterday, we've almost seen a 40 to 45 degree drop. So later on this afternoon, even though we do have winter weather advisories in place that start around noontime, I think it's still somewhat clear for a lot of these areas into the Texas region, I think through about noon, through about 2-3 o'clock time frame. But further to the north, that snow is going to be starting to fly in Oklahoma, a good 1 to 2 inches by then, going to be on the ground heading into Arkansas. But it's not until after that. These are the high temperatures, folks. You see the temperatures, they don't really go anywhere today. You see where they're at right now. We still have that Arctic air plunging southbound. So this is about 3 o'clock this afternoon. Very rare to get out of the single digits there in Oklahoma. And you can see that leading edge where that wintry precipitation will likely fall. It's going to be falling into these temperatures that won't get out of the teens and even into the 20s all the way into central Texas. And that's going to be a huge headache for anything that falls out of the sky, because everything's going to stick on contact. The crucial temperature is typically around 28. And this is going to actually be 10 degrees colder than that. So you know that's going to be sticking on everything that it hits. And by the time we head into that 4-5 o'clock time frame, we're going to see that changeover, a little bit more lift associated with it, where we're going to see some of that freezing drizzle start to come to fruition and reach the surface. And that's when we're going to start to get some headaches, especially for those areas further south. And the snow is going to be increasing as well, you know, as we get into the Oklahoma region. And that's why they have, at least on the eastern side, have the winter storm warnings in place and heading into Arkansas. But it's not really until the overnight. This is around midnight. That's when the heaviest precipitation would likely fall, and the greater probabilities of seeing that freezing rain, sleet, snow mix. So it looks to be all snow transitioning into Arkansas, through southern portions of Missouri here, into Kentucky, but widespread into Tennessee. But further to the south, we'd likely, this area in orange This is likely kind of a freezing rain to a sleet mix in that area across East Texas and the North Texas. And then further south, it's likely going to be all freezing rain for those areas across Austin and to San Antonio, even towards the Houston region and towards Shreveport. And it just gets worse into the overnight as you wake up tomorrow morning on Monday. Those areas all the way down into the deep south, so they're still getting that wintry mix, that freezing drizzle. It looks to be light amounts, but anything that falls is going to cause treacherous travel across a good part of the South, and that swings into Arkansas, and it swings almost to the entire state of Louisiana. Very rare to see it that far south, but you see the Arctic air, right? All you need is a disturbance to push over it, but it's all going to be all snow. All layers of the atmosphere are completely, cold enough to snow. You don't have that warmer air aloft, as that colder air will be in place 24 hours by then. So that lowers the temperatures in all those areas, even further north, because it starts off as a very shallow Arctic air mass, and then you transition to that all snow aspect into Tennessee, into Kentucky, and that will likely going to be swinging into West Virginia by the time we head into that Monday afternoon, and then that just continues. So I think a lot of the precipitation would likely end by Tuesday across Oklahoma and Arkansas and well into the Texas region. But still, those plunging temperatures, and it's definitely not out of the question to even see some freezing rain as far south as like New Orleans, all the way into the deep south, all the way down into the Gulf Coast here. We could see a little bit of a changeover and freezing drizzle, freezing rain. So it's just going to be like one big, huge headache, because a lot of these times you kind of let your guard down when it's just light precipitation and freezing drizzle and light rain. You're driving along and think the roads are just fine, so you're going a little bit faster than what you would just kind of a normal day, right? But then you hit a slick spot and you start to spin out. So that's some of these lighter events causes a lot more headache when there's just like a solid quarter-inch of ice on the ground, because you can easily look out your window and say, hey, I'm quarter-inch, I ain't driving in that stuff. But when it's like a glaze and you're like, you can't really see it, that's when it becomes obviously sometimes more dangerous in those type setups. And that's the concern with this system. It's widespread, across these areas into the south. So just be on high alert. I mean, it's one of those things that I know it's always the best to stay home in these types of situations, but I know life goes on. You have to get out and go to work and do things, but just use extra precaution, because it's just one of those systems that's going to be just kind of a big headache. And I'm definitely getting concerned about just these widespread freezing rain aspect of it, but it's definitely going to be cold enough. I mean, look, by Tuesday, that's when we really start to bottom out. You got the entire all the way down on the coast. It's pretty rare to see Texas, the entire state below freezing, and it goes all the way to Mexico, folks, into Louisiana, and those teens even for the deep south of the Gulf Coast. So that's an Arctic air mass when that just bitter cold air just reaches that far south, and that system would likely swing up into the Northeast. And this is a system that will be bringing that snow all the way up into Pennsylvania. And I think even a lot of the high resolution models that I'll kind of show you here, that I think even the I-95 corridor sees that changeover aspect to an all snow system with this deal, as I think as we go deeper into the day on Tuesday, as a lot more of that colder air starts funneling into that area because it pushes eastward, I think we're going to be seeing all snow aspect even to the I-95 corridor up there into the Northeast. So that's definitely a system that you got to be looking out for as we head into that Tuesday into overnight event. So here's the SWAT. This is the SREF. This is kind of a blended guidance of a lot of the global and even shorter range high resolution models. So it kind of gives you a blend and a true depiction on the actual storm track and what may actually fall as actual snow going through Oklahoma, going through Arkansas, into all the way into Tennessee, into Kentucky here. into West Virginia and up here to Virginia and through the areas into the mid-Atlantic and all the way up into the Northeast. So yes, those areas, even to say possibly in Philly, maybe even to the Baltimore region. I think this would be the storm, if there's ever one, to kind of break those streaks into the New York City region, back into Philly, that not having seen snow and you have those longer term streaks. I think this is the one that's finally going to be able to break some of those records up there as we head into that Tuesday time frame. But the blended models are on board as well, so that's why I'm feeling a little bit more confident, because a lot of those shorter range guidances, a lot of the blended models, I mean, a lot of the shorter is saying, hey, this is going to be all snow, and especially when you have the higher amounts actually showing up on the I-95 corridor side versus the interior regions. It's a definitely changeover. Now, obviously, you're still getting on the backside snow. You're getting those lake effect snows. I mean, I was watching pictures out of Buffalo and seeing some of the video yesterday, and obviously, reason why they canceled that Bills game, because it was like crazy, 2 to 4 inches per hour, 65-mile-per-hour winds. I mean, I was looking at pictures of the stadium, and you couldn't even see the goalpost hardly. And you can't play in that stuff. It is obviously very treacherous to travel on. So hopefully that will start to die down so they can get that game going up there into Buffalo. But further to the south, we've got to worry about that freezing rain, folks. I mean, this is the latest update. I was kind of putting this data together, and as this new higher resolution models were coming in, showing a little bit more of that freezing rain heading into that midnight. This is midnight time frame, so this would be a solid coating. Now, it looks to be not much, right? This is picking up on that freezing drizzle, freezing rain, so it doesn't take much. Like I mentioned, it does not take much to cause a huge headache for a good part of Texas into Louisiana. So these are kind of preliminary amounts of what some of the accumulations could be. Like I mentioned, this is likely a glaze to a trace to a 5/100 of an inch. You get to a 1/4 inch as you get into East Texas, but especially into, a 1/10 of an inch for East Texas, getting into Louisiana, southern Arkansas, into Mississippi. So whether you get a glaze to a 1/10 of an inch, it's all going to be coated on the roads, and with temperatures into the teens, if not single digits, some of these areas heading into the nighttime hours, you know that's not going to melt. And that was just the freezing rain aspect of it. Some of this could be in the sleet aspect of it too. So the radar is kind of seeing, hey, what could be possibly the sleet coming from this system? What could possibly be the freezing rain? So obviously freezing rain is going to be worse than what sleet would be, and snow is even better than that. So widespread freezing rain is definitely not good. And even some of the sleet that could fall could melt with some of those warmer cars that go over the roads, and that refreezes on contact with those temperatures in the teens. But here's some preliminary data from ice accumulations, again, on the blended guidance. So those areas across into the blue here, yeah, that's kind of a teal color. That's just a trace to maybe 5/100 of an inch. But once you get into the lighter blue, that's closer to a 1/10 of an inch, and a little bit higher than those amounts heading into East Texas, into the Shreveport region, the Texarkana region. Those look to be the highest ice accretions across those regions. But either way, going into Mississippi and widespread, if you're in that color zone, definitely you could be seeing those ice accumulations on the roadways. But I don't think we're done yet. I mean, it's a cold week ahead, so we have a short reprieve. A lot of these areas stay below freezing for an extended period of time. It looks to be we have a quicker warm up on Wednesday and Thursday, and it just gets above freezing. That's what I'm talking about, a warm up. But it definitely appears we have another impulse of that Arctic air plunging southbound. Not going to be as intense as the first one, but it is going to be causing those temperatures to go southbound again, putting those temperatures likely back into the teens at night in some of these areas, back into the single digits, and being well below freezing, well below zero up here into the Ohio Valley, as that colder air would likely go into Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So definitely a cold week ahead coming up. So guys, I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video, definitely hit the subscribe button, and catch my next update where I protect you before and after the storm.